All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Reversing Your Autoimmune Story. So, Melissa and I are here with you again today, and so excited to talk about a subject that is very near and dear, honestly, to both of us. We are women, and as women, we have the wonderful privilege of helping to carry our species forward, correct? In carrying the precious babies that come into this world.
Yes.
And it is such an honor, and it is part of our birthright to be able to do that. However, there are so many women out there who have that innate desire to do that because we're born to do that, right? That's one of our primary functions. But yet their body fights against them, and they are either not able to conceive or they conceive and are unable to carry to term, which is, oh, I get a little choked up at that one because it is devastating. That is absolutely devastating. And so many women, and not just women, please, oh my gosh, the men are highly affected by this as well. You too want to have a child. You want to be able to raise your son, raise your daughter, teach them everything. We want to create those legacies. And it is just as detrimental to the man in the relationship when this is happening. And I think it's important that we are going to hit on how both partners actually do have um, a potential, I don't want to say issue, but I don't know what else to say. Both are contributing to this.
Yes.
Both of their bodies are contributing to this.
Yes.
But what we also want you to know is there is hope for this. And we have helped many women who have struggled with this to be able to conceive and have their what is often termed their miracle baby, right? And it is an absolute miracle, and it feels like an absolute miracle when you find the answers of what is happening in the body so that you and your spouse can conceive and then raise that beautiful family that you've been dreaming of. So,
Mm.
Melissa, let's dive into what is actually going on in the body. And there are some diagnoses that come to mind in this that are very prevalent with every lady that we work with, every couple that we work with that come to us. Um, and they are multiple different autoimmune disorders that not only are they unable to conceive, but they are diagnosed with these. And we're talking about um, Hashimoto's, fibromyalgia,
Yeah.
endometriosis, PCOS. I mean, these are the ones that we hear over and over again for the ladies. And I want to really talk about one in particular today, if we can dig into this. I want to talk about endometriosis. And I want
Perfect.
everybody to understand that when we start digging into any one of these autoimmune diagnoses, and you may have multiples of them, that layered effect is going to help all of those diagnoses that you have. It is all your autoimmune, it is all your immune system, right? So,
Exactly.
Melissa, my first question for you is what the heck is endometriosis? And why is this happening, right?
Oh, endometriosis is a bugger. So it is basically tissue that forms either inside or outside the uterus. Sometimes it can form other places near, like your glandular hormonal centers. And it continues to grow. Sometimes it may, especially if it's in the uterus, it will potentially come off in during a period. So one of the things that causes an issue here is if that tissue continues to hang out either inside or outside the uterus or around the ovaries, on the ovaries, because it is It's not supposed to be there. It's foreign to the body. It's not supposed to be growing there and hanging out there. And with a regular, normal period, any tissue that is formed on the inside of the uterus will be passed through in the cycle
Mm-hmm.
and will come out in the period. However, when we have things like hormone imbalance that is happening, when we have anything, so we're going to talk about hormones a little bit more here in a minute. If we have any toxicities that are hanging out or attracted to a strong hormone center, if we have, you guys, parasites are a thing. If we have parasites that are hanging out in that center as well, because it's a rich environment for them. It's a buffet,
Yeah. Lots of
especially if their
nutrients
favorite
there.
food, yep, is high blood flow and high hormone uh, circulation.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of specific toxicities that love to hang out there. And those two working together, quite frankly, is can be one of the reasons why parasites are drawn to that. So that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But I want to lean into more right now around the hormone system because when the hormones are off, especially our lady hormones, progesterone, estrogen, estrone, all the fun things, because our entire hormone family is just that. It's a family. So when one thing is off, it affects everybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have hormones that ebb and flow, and they try to pick up the slack for imbalances. So, for example, if I have somebody come in who has endometriosis or has terrible periods or has PCOS or something like that, I immediately look at the thyroid and the adrenals. That's a trifecta that works so closely together. So when one is being affected, the other one is as well.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding that underneath of all of that is that your hormone system is literally the conductor for everything that happens in the body,
Yep.
right? So when we have something that's having to be addressed by the immune system, whether it's a toxicity, an infection, a parasite, whatever it is, that hormone is pushing. It's trying to pick up the slack. It's trying to help your body. And it creates an imbalance. And then we show up with things like PCOS and endometriosis, right?
Yeah.
But they are always caused by something. If you don't remember anything else in this conversation, imbalance in the body is always caused by something. And we can know the something.
Mm-hmm. So what I find really interesting here is that, you know, in researching endometriosis, we understand that um, it is an overgrowth essentially of tissue that
Mhm.
is similar to the tissue of the uterus or the fallopian tubes or wherever, you know, the issue happens to be, but it is, well, it's similar to it, right? It mimics it, it acts like it, but it
Yep.
doesn't belong there. So, like you're saying, it then is ejected from the body
Should be.
during menstruation, which is what we want the body to do. But what I'm thinking about here is there are ladies out there who will get pregnant but cannot maintain the pregnancy um, due to the body is trying to get rid of the tissue that does not belong. And if that fertilized egg has implanted on tissue that does not belong because it mimics where it does belong, there's the problem that we run into with miscarriages. Now, that being said, the body does not do anything without a reason, without, you know, a cause for doing it. And so if you're getting the heavier flow of periods, you're getting more frequent periods because you have endometriosis and there's an overgrowth happening in the body is like it has to go, it has to go, it has to go. And that's why that's happening. But we got to get underneath that. So the medical, I always call it the medical industry. Please understand. I know I'm just going to call it that. So the medical industry, only thing that they're going to say is you have endometriosis, which is an overgrowth of the tissue in the uterus, in the fallopian tubes, on the ovaries, all of that. And we don't really know why the body is doing it. We understand that, there's a hormone imbalance, but all of your blood work looks fine. We've done all the things that we can do. So I know that, sometimes they'll go in and do like the scraping, right? And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly, to help the body with the job it's already trying to do. So the point is, there is something else
Yes.
underlying that is causing that tissue to grow. That is not normal, right? And I'm not saying that somebody's abnormal. That's not what I'm saying to you, but I'm saying your body realizes that something is in the body that does not belong there and it's trying to get rid of it. So, like Melissa said, some of those things that can be present in the body are sometimes parasitic. And what I have noticed in working with ladies over the years, that is never something that the medical industry even tests for, are parasites.
They don't even know how to test for it.
In fact, and so I want to go into this a little bit further. I would like for you to talk to us about parasitic infection, parasitic presence, and endometriosis. But I want to preface this with something. What they tell us when you are diagnosed with endometriosis and you say, yeah, but why? What's causing it? They will sometimes tell you that it is genetic. Maybe your mom also had endometriosis, right? Um, maybe it's something that you see in many females in your family line. Okay. I want Melissa to explain a little bit more about that. But they'll also, say it's immune system problems, it's hormone problems, it's, different things that could be. But we can never seem to find an underlying reason for it or a way to eradicate the problem so that then we can conceive this beautiful child that we want to raise. So, Melissa, I'm going to turn it back over to you to talk to us a little bit about endometriosis, parasitic infections, and genetic.
I love this. I barely ever get to talk about this. So when when a mama has parasites in the body, which I'm just going to tell you, if you're if you've got a pulse right here, you've got parasites. And it's not because you're dirty. It's not because you live in a third world country. It's not because you've done something wrong or you're not being careful with your food. It, yeah, let's just scrap that whole idea that parasites equal unclean.
Yeah.
Scrap it. But when we're talking about hereditary, and I got it from my mom, and it's in my family. Guess what also is transferred from mama to baby in the in utero as well as in the birthing process? Anything that is in the birthing canal, like we think about natural birth as being, the gift and being able to seed the microbiome in the body. Yep, it does,
Mhm.
with everything that mama had.
Everything.
Everything. And the umbilical cord, the blood that goes through there, all of the nutrition that goes through there can be, it's a direct back and forth again with everything mama has.
Mhm.
So a way to think about parasites is wherever blood goes, they can go. The blood vessels are their highway. So when we think about, you know, my microbiome and my immune system and all those pieces came from my mama. It is literally true. The other thing to think about, well, I won't go there yet. Something to think about then is if you're getting ready to get pregnant, you want to get pregnant, and you've got things that are standing in your way, we need to look at the hormone imbalance. We need to look at, I'll just tell you, I use a Dutch test because we need to look at all of your hormones that are being affected by this. We need to look at both how your body is creating those, as well as how your body is metabolizing those. It's like, how is your body
Yeah.
making them? How's your body using them? And how's your body then processing them out?
Mhm.
What pathways are being used? That's huge. So a Dutch test is monstrous. Um,
Real quick, Melissa,
yeah.
this
Am
is
I
so
getting off?
important. No, you are not getting off topic, but I want us to just a synopsis of the difference between the tests that you will get at your endocrinologist, a blood test for hormones, and a Dutch test.
Oh,
Okay, so different.
so different. So when you get a serum test, hormone test, that is literally going to read what hormones are running in your blood right at the moment that you have your blood drawn. It's a snippet in time. Okay. So, say you're very relaxed and happy when you're getting your blood drawn, very likely your hormone balance is going to look pretty darn good.
Mhm.
But if you come in and you are pulling into the parking lot to the lab and somebody just about hit you, and then you got out of your car, looked at everything, everybody was okay, started to breathe again, and then all of a sudden somebody walked out the door and you were coming in and that person was yelling and mad and you had no idea what it was about, but here it is at you. So you walk in and you're sitting in the waiting room and you're late or something else happens and your body is all in a uproar, your hormones are going to show that. But in a moment of time, that can change.
Yep.
Not a good way to look at hormones.
Mhm.
So when you use a Dutch test, we're using urine metabolites to really be able to see how your body is using the hormones. You're taking everything at home. We're taking at least 4 samples, unless we're doing a cycle mapping, and then we're taking like 12 samples. We get to see the pattern of what your body is doing. And it's a much more reliable way to look at hormone testing than a quick serum or blood test, and just see in that brief moment what your hormones are doing.
Yep. I like that. Thank you. So, blood test, we are seeing what your body produced in the last few minutes and what's running through your blood right at that moment. Dutch test, we are taking and looking at the hormone metabolites, which means what the body has already used of
Mhm.
the hormones that have been produced in the body, and we get to see how the body used them because we take
Mhm.
multiple samples over a period of time so that we can make an accurate analysis of not only what was produced, but what's used. Okay, go ahead. Continue on now. Thank you.
Well, I would like to put a little thing here for people who are using hormone therapy. A lot of times, the dosage, the decision, first of all, whether you need hormone replacement therapy, is generally made from a serum draw, as well as the dosage. All you get is a moment in time. And so, if you're on hormone replacement therapy, I highly recommend doing a Dutch test, taking it to your practitioner. Let's look at this because that is nowhere accurate, in my opinion, of being able to see what your body actually needs and what it can use.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll
Yep.
get off the soapbox now.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
So, okay, so I know I got us off track there, but I think it's
that's
so
okay.
important, right? Okay, so what we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about then, endometriosis, and we were leaning into parasites. We had talked a little bit about the genetics of how that can be deemed as being generational, genetic, whatever, inherited, because it is passed from mom onto daughter, and it may not show up until you start menstruating, or you may not even know it until you start trying to become pregnant
Exactly.
that you had that particular parasite present in your body. So then you were leaning into when someone comes into you, though, that it presents with endometriosis, and you were leaning into, okay, well, we also have a hormone imbalance that may be present in the body and what you wanted
Yeah.
to do there.
Yeah. So looking at our lady hormones, right? But also looking at all of the hormones that are related. So thyroid and cortisol.
Mhm.
Understanding as well that those imbalances can be caused by multiple issues. And I want to circle back around a little bit to what we get from our folks, right? From our mom, from our dad. Literally, we get our DNA from them. And often, if we have issues with, especially our lady hormones, we are looking at genetic SNPs that methylation is governed by.
Mhm.
And if we have something like MTHFR that is malfunctioning, that's a kind of a common one that malfunctions. COMT is another very common one. That may be something that needs to be supplemented for and really supported. But if we know it's there, we can do that with ease.
Mhm.
Um, Also understanding that the process of what we get from our moms at birth and thinking more about parasites right now is that it's not just girls that get that passed on to them, it's everybody. It's boys
Yes.
too. So when I'm working with a couple that wants to get pregnant, we're not just working on mama, we're working on daddy too.
Mhm.
Because guess what gets shared every time you guys have sex, make love?
Yeah.
He gets to share with you all the good, yummy stuff, but also anything that is coming through from him
Mhm.
is being shared in the uterus.
I see. I think this is really important. Um, and it alludes back to what I was talking about at the beginning, that mom, this this isn't all on you, right? This is the couple that we need to look at and
Exactly.
what is taking place in both bodies
Mm-hmm.
that
Yep.
has the potential to being, to affecting the
Mm-hmm.
ability to conceive. And a lot of times when we look at the men, and especially when the medical industry looks, we're just looking for count and motility, right? Do they have enough sperm and are they moving fast enough to get to the egg?
Yep. Are they going to make it? Yeah.
But there's more to it than that,
So much.
because, he's a biological being too, who is
Yep.
having, um, they're not really symbiotic because we aren't both benefiting from a parasitic infection, but the parasite's very happy and it's
Mm-hmm.
it's normal for it. I say it's normal. They shouldn't be there, but it's a normal function of being a human being.
Yep.
We ingest them. It happens.
Yep.
There's a way to deal with it though. So um and you will deal with it for the rest of your life as long as you're a human being. Well, really
Yep.
any living being, but that's how it goes. So I love what you're saying here. So if we are looking at the potential for a parasitic infection that may be causing the endometriosis, we are looking at mom and dad both.
We're looking at both parties. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because the other way to think of it of this is like I've worked with couples before who are everything looks good. They should be able to get pregnant. Nothing is sideways. They didn't come because they were infertile, but they were like, okay, we want to clean up this so that this is good. So what I pass on to my little is as clean and beautiful as I can make it. So they'll spend 3, 4, 5, 6 months, both of them, working on this
Yeah.
on purpose. And it creates such an amazing beginning, an opportunity of a beginning for their little one, simply because they've worked on everything that they can. Everything is in optimal order. So
Yeah.
that when they do choose to conceive, that it's like, it's beautiful.
What a beautiful gift to that new little coming into the world. Oh my gosh. I love that. That touches my heart so much. I mean, you want to talk about giving a new human being coming into this world the best possible opportunity that
Start.
they have for health. Oh, that's gorgeous. Love it. I love it. So, okay. So we've kind of identified a little bit around what can happen here. And I know we've talked about parasites, we've talked about hormone imbalances.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also know that there can be other issues at play, right? We can have different toxicities that can be causing that. So, um, I mean, you want to speak a little bit to that one as well? Yeah.
I would love to.
I can see that she was like, stop right here because I want to talk about this.
I'm gonna talk about this in the form of a story.
I love it.
Working with a precious young lady, we were working through other issues, right? I didn't even know that she wanted to get pregnant. So really doing whole body approach, really helping her body just clean up, heal, recover. She was doing amazing. But one of her main issues was she's had a lot of heavy metal toxicity. She had some plastics that showed up. She had a ton of glyphosate, which, by the way, is Roundup. And it is a straight up neurotoxin. Just got classified as that um not too long ago.
Yeah, we could do a whole episode on glyphosate.
Yes, we should. Fluoride was another one that was just classified as a neurotoxin.
Yep.
Anyways, we were cleaning everything up. We were doing a kind of wrapping up her heavy metal detox piece. And she's like, oh, by the way, I'm pregnant. And then here comes the story tumbling out that she and her hubby had wanted to get pregnant for the last 2.5 years. They'd tried off and on just casually. They hadn't gone and gotten any testing or whatever. But it wasn't until we were able to clear the body of toxicity that her body was finally ready to host
Yes.
this beautiful new person growing inside. And they were so excited, but she was like, well, I didn't know that was going to happen. Well, and that's not the first time that's happened. That one was just fairly recently that I was thinking of. Um, because when the body isn't having to put out fires everywhere and there's balance, it's like, sure, let's get pregnant.
Yeah, I love it.
And it creates space for not just to get pregnant, but to hold a pregnancy with ease so
Hmm.
that both the kiddo and mama are good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a really, really good point there too. Um, you were talking about the couples that you've worked with that have come in just to optimize their own bodies so they can give that gift to their new little being
Yep.
coming into the world. But my gosh, if you have already been through years of struggle trying to get pregnant, and maybe you've lost a couple of children at this point, right? And yes, they are your children, and
Mm-hmm.
just take a moment
Yeah.
to breathe for that.
Yeah.
Um, what a gift it would be to also know that you're going to have an easy and beautiful pregnancy instead of the stress and concern of, is my body going to do what it's supposed to do at this point, right? If you have supported it and listened, and this is one thing that Melissa and I talk about a lot, your body is communicating with you.
Yes.
And I will grant you that sometimes the body's communication is the most convoluted, worst communicator I have ever met in my life, right? And we don't like the way it communicates always, but that is what is happening. Your body is communicating with you. And so, are you stopping to listen to what
Exactly.
it is saying?
Yeah.
And that's what we do here.
Yeah.
Because, I just kind of thought about this. We're like the translator of the language that your
I
body is
love that.
speaking, that you don't understand the language, right? Well, we do. And
Yeah.
and that's what we do here. So Melissa, tell me, let's just talk a little bit about when someone comes to you, when a couple comes to you, when a lady comes to you, because maybe it is just the lady reaching out first. How do we begin this process? And then I
Mm.
would like for you to lean into, because we are talking about endometriosis, lean a little bit into what a parasite cleanse might actually look like, because I have done, I do caveats all the time when we are talking. Please, 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 please do not go to your local supplement store and buy a parasite cleanse box. You will do more damage than you will do good. We need to do testing. We need to make sure that your body is ready for this. And you cannot do this fast. This is a process that needs to happen, or you will cause more hurt to your body than good. So there's my caveat for this. I'm not saying there aren't good products out there, but you have to know how to use them. Okay, Melissa.
Exactly. I love this. So if someone comes in and they have endometriosis, or I'm going to lump PCOS in there too because they're closely related, I like to look at the whole body. This may be what is hollering the loudest and getting our attention first, but very likely this is not where it started. So I like to start with a whole body approach. Let's look at everything that's going on in the body. One of the very first things we do is a functional health assessment. It is a huge assessment that, by the way, is free. You can access it on our website, that you can go through and really understand what can be your top three. I like to call them hot areas, like what could be actually behind this for you. And then I go through that with the client, including any blood work, specialized testing, scans, you name it, that has been run up to this point. We also lean into the health history. How did you get here? Right? Because that's also rich with clues. And then we choose what kind of testing we need to do to really unwrap what your body is saying to you, right? And even before we get those test results back, we're prepping the body so that you are ready, your body is ready to be able to implement what we need to as a result of what we see in the testing.
Mm-hmm.
If we see that we've got heavy metals or we've got parasites or we've got things like mold toxicity, mycotoxins, those are quite frankly one of the last tiers that we work on. First, we have to make sure that the body is working well, as in, are you able to not just digest, like bring in the right foods, but is your body able to break down those foods? And is the body able to absorb that?
Mm-hmm.
Simply because if you're not able to do that, and we're leaning in with some of this deeper detox work, your body isn't going to be able to handle it. It's going to take you down. And that's not an option. So
Mm-hmm.
we work with kind of in a tiered way to make sure that your body is good here. You're getting good nutrition. We've taken care of any food sensitivities. All of your digestive secretions are working well. You're pooping every day. We've taken care of all the fun stuff that's going on in the gut. Then we can move into some of this deeper work.
Mm-hmm.
When we're working with parasites, think about parasites. I mean, this is going to be gross, but I want you guys to think about it. Have you ever seen a leech? Like you were swimming or wading and you walked out of the water and you've got these black little wormy looking guys attached to your leg, to your feet, whatever, right? Bloodsuckers. In multiple forms, because we don't even know how many parasite actual species there are. We're still finding them,
Yeah.
right? Figuring them out. But they attach into the body and literally are eating your food. So when we are asking the body to release those, we're going to have increased endotoxicity because as those little guys are dying and letting go, they're ick into our system. The body has to be able to process those and release those into the stool. So if your body isn't working well, it's not going to be able to handle the increased endotoxin. Like we use binders and do all the things to help with that. But you need to be in a place of strength before you walk into a parasitic cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it just willy-nilly. In 2 weeks, you're doing a hard cleanse. 2 weeks, by the way, of a parasite cleanse, you're only making them mad.
Right.
You're not getting anything done. Just saying. Great thought, doesn't happen. But if you're working with the body and working through all the layers of a parasite cleanse, which yes, there are layers, because we've got parasites that love to live in the digestive tract. We have parasites that love to live in any of the mucosal layers, which can be from sinuses clear down to the other end. We have parasites that love organs.
Mm-hmm.
We have others that love the endocrine system, love the hormones.
Yeah.
We have others that love the juicy goodness of the brain and spinal cord. We have others that love living in the muscles and in the connective tissue.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're working on a whole body approach, we're working through all of it. And it takes time and it takes patience. And quite frankly, it's great if you work with someone,
Mm-hmm.
because we can for some people, we'll do a parasite push a little bit, let the body expel, then we build it back up. Do it again, build the body up, because we never want to get to the place where your body is exhausted or depleted, because what's that do? Opens the door for new fellas to come in and set up camp, and we don't want that.
Yeah. So the thing is we could do an entire episode on, and I'm sure we will one day, on parasites. But one thing that's coming to mind for me that I think is really important to bring to call here is you're talking about these parasites that, live in multiple systems of our body, right? So, I mean, in the neurological system, in the brain, and in the spinal column and whatnot, in the endocrine system, which is a very intricate system, right, that runs through the entire body. They're present in our blood vessels. They can be present in muscle tissue, right?
Yep. In the
And
lymph system. Yep.
what I want to kind of point out here is that when the average person hears parasite in the body, what they're thinking about is like roundworm, hookworm, pinworm. These are ones that just live in your digestive system, folks.
Exactly.
Those are fairly easy for us to get rid of, right? We can kill those off. They come out the other end, they're gone. We don't have to worry about them. We know where they come from, whatever. But what Melissa's talking about, are actually something we call micro parasites, right? So these guys are beetle, they're teeny guys. And they're in there and they're feeding on your tissues and they're feeding on your nutrients and they're feeding on your food. So I want you to understand, like, I want to make that differentiation. We are not talking about the digestive parasites, right? And quite
Yeah.
honestly, if you go to your supplement store and you are purchasing one of those parasitic boxes, that is really the only thing that's being addressed, are your digestive parasites. And by all means, get rid of those guys. They are hard on your digestive system.
Yeah.
But going into anything deeper than that, your body has to be ready for this, because if you think about what has to happen in your body, if we are getting into the muscle tissue and eradicating these little micro parasites, they have to get out of your muscle tissue. They have to get into the bloodstream. They have to get into the body. They have to make the barrier change. They have to get into our digestive system so that they can go out of the body. That is not a direct route, folks. And it takes the body a lot of work. So I love giving the visuals here so that you can
Perfect.
understand,
Yeah.
what has to go into this and why it is so important that you work with somebody to do this. Super important.
Yeah. And something to think about this, if you've got an advanced autoimmune condition, um, say multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia, even things like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, that kind of thing, we're going to need to spend a year or more probably incorporating this piece off and on for you.
Mm-hmm.
Something else to think about though is that a normal, healthy person that is just their body is ticking right along how it's supposed to. The body is made and has the tools to have a symbiotic relationship, most usually with parasites.
Mm-hmm.
It's a community. And it's not that we have to think that we're, dying inside all the time. No. But when our body starts to become out of balance and we start to get sick, that is something to think about and not way down the road, but in the beginning.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and there are symbiotic relationships that we do have with parasites that are not negative, honestly. They're not. Think about, and everybody knows this because we all get grossed out in elementary school about it, right? The little guys that live in your eyebrows and live on your skin and are everywhere, right? These are part of your micro biome of your skin, part of your microbiome of your eyebrows, right? And we all freak out when we first see this. It's supposed to be like that. We need them. There is a symbiotic relationship there, and that is the same, like the same thing that can happen with microparasites in the body. But when there's an overabundance of them or the wrong strain that we do not have a symbiotic relationship with, that's when we run into problems. And that's what we're talking about here. So
Exactly. I
I like
love that
that.
explanation.
Yeah. Okay.
Have we blown your mind enough?
That was fun. Was that not fun? I want to
Oh,
say to anyone who is listening today and feels some resonance with some of the things that we have talked about, I really hope that you see that there is a communication that is happening from your body and that we can translate what that is. Not just us. There are other practitioners that can translate this as well. I do want to say that. But there is a communication that is happening. It can be translated. We can know why, and we can find solutions so that we can answer that communication that's coming from our body and find the solutions that are going to get you to being able to carry that beautiful little being for 9 months, bring it to fruition, and have that beautiful being right there in your arms. So it is my wish that you have found some hope in this conversation today. I will drop into the link, into the comments and description below a link to, have a conversation with us if you would like to do so. We'll also drop a link in there to our functional health assessment, as Melissa said, that will help you to understand more which system in the body may be causing, which one's communicating with us right now. So yeah, I just thank you all for joining us today. Melissa, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up today?
I guess the only thing that I would like to leave with you today is the fact that your body is beautiful and whole. And if you're not able to get pregnant right now, there's a reason why. So let's unpack the reason.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.